The MLB has absolutely robbed the Philadelphia Phillies. While Kyle Schwarber and ace Zack Wheeler will be representing the squad at the All-Star break, they are the only members of the NL East leading Philadelphia Phillies to take the trip to All-Star weekend. Trea Turner, as well as a pair of noteworthy pitchers in Ranger Suarez and Cristopher Sanchez, have each been snubbed from this All-Star game. How do you want to break down exactly why this is the case and give a little bit love to our guys and wrap up why this may not be the worst thing in the world for this Phillies team in the long haul. So to dive right into things here, we do know that the All-Star voting has fully come in, and as Rob Thomson stated to everyone here, that he is thrilled that Kyle Schwarber and Zack Wheeler did get the nod there. But that is not the biggest story of this, as Rob Thomson said that he's happy for Kyle Schwarber and Zack Wheeler being All-Stars, but acknowledges that he believes Trea Turner, Cristopher Sanchez, and Ranger Suarez should be there as well. Now, I will lead this by saying, I know I'm not the #1 Trea Turner fan in the universe here, but I do think it is absurd that this guy was left off. I do want to dive into the pitching conversation as well, but to lead with Trea, that on the season, the 32-year-old has 11 home runs, 39 RBIs, 26 walks, and 109 hits across his 364 at-bats, has also stolen 22 bases there. And to contextualize where this exactly stacks up across the league here, some pretty special stuff from our guy Trea, that every player in the top 15 in F4 this year was selected to the All-Star game, except Trea Turner, who of course is 9th on that list here. And to give a little bit more, that Trea Turner leads the NL in hits and is 8th in the entire sport in WAR, that of course being wins above replacement, and somehow he is not an All-Star. And to just compare directly to shortstops here, that he is 1st in the National League in batting average at 299, 1st in the National League in hits at 109, tied for first with 22 stolen bases, tied for first with 18 doubles there, 2nd in runs with 61, tied for 2nd with triples, and 3rd in OPS. Somehow, not a guy that qualifies for the All-Star game. And part of my frustration with Trea Turner overall, since he's got to Philadelphia, is I have not seen the version of Trea that we basically have this year. That sure, the glove situation is still going to bother me at times. There is just the brutal reality that this dude is never going to be a plus fielder. But the things that he has done at the plate this year should not be overlooked, and I cannot believe that the MLB has gone to the lengths to do that there. The Trea Turner has been excellent this year from start to finish. This has been the $300 million man that the Phillies believe they signed to be the potential co-star to Bryce Harper, and for all the issues that we can still nitpick and discuss within this Phillies team, I don't think a lot can be attributed to Trea there. I think he's settled into the leadoff spot whenever he's been asked to do that, has hit 2nd when he's asked to do that, basically done what the team needed to him, and sort of been the lifeblood and basically the foundation of this offense for several months to this point. Now, the other conversation that needs to shift in is the pitching staff here. I do think the Phillies have the, I guess, working against them, that how much talent that they have on the staff. Just look at what Zack Wheeler did just yesterday. One of the most impressive starts that I've ever seen from an MLB starting pitcher. Going a complete game, striking out 12, one pitch away from having a perfect game, which of course ended up being an Austin Hayes home run over that right field fence there. But nonetheless, that was ace stuff from Zack Wheeler, who's been excellent across the board. He 1000% deserves to be in the All-Star game here. And to dive into the exact pitchers that all qualified there: Paul Skeens, no doubt; Zack Wheeler, no doubt; Logan Webb, Robbie Ray, Chris Sale, Clayton Kershaw, Freddie Peralta, Mackenzie Gore, Yoshiba Yamamoto, Matthew Boyd, Edwin Diaz, Jason Adams, and Randy Rodriguez there. A lot of talent, and happy that Zack Wheeler is at the top of the list. I will be circling back to this conversation here, but it is time to make a real Zack Wheeler for Cy Young type of push, because that is the level that he is pitching this year. But to discuss the other guys in this roster, two guys that I think continue to be criminally underrated both nationally and locally. I don't think it is grasped by the larger baseball community how good these guys are, and I don't think it's quite appreciated by Phillies fans how elite that each of these guys are. So to start with Ranger Suarez here, that we do know in 12 games so far this season, he's pitched 77 innings, put up a ridiculous 1.99 ERA there, a 1.026 whip, allowed just 6 home runs, 73 strikeouts to the 60 hits allowed. The biggest thing working against Ranger is obviously the lack of innings pitched there, and I can understand and sort of concede that argument to an extent here. I personally more stand by he's been one of the most impressive pitchers in baseball, that he's got a WAR right up under 4, a WAR the same as Cristopher Sanchez in a shorter amount of time, which is really impressive stuff, and he's just been dominant, commanding, elite on the mound every time since he did begin the season and return from his injury issues there. So Ranger, to me, has the utmost respect, but I do understand why the MLB went this direction. But the other guy that I think is even more underrated, more underappreciated, is Cristopher Sanchez here. And to highlight what Sanchez has done from this season perspective that he's pitched in 17 games for this Phillies team, 100.2 innings pitched, has struck out 108 hitters across that stretch, given up just 86 hits allowed, 7 home runs allowed. That is 7.7 hits per 9 innings there, a 2.68 ERA, and a 1.132 whip here. Now, our very own Luke Arcani, who was getting some quotes, getting some nice inside information on a lot of this stuff here, that he got a chance to kind of compare these stats here. And the guy that he went to attack was Mackenzie Gore of the Washington Nationals. So when laying out these side by side for both Cristopher Sanchez and Mackenzie Gore, you can see there is a little bit of favoritism towards Sanchez from the statistical comparison. Now, this is a bit of what you do prefer. I will say Mackenzie Gore, the strikeout numbers are pretty absurd there. 30.5% strikeout rate is some nutty stuff that he is producing there, but nonetheless, the point still stands. Cristopher Sanchez is in the mix with some of the best pitchers in baseball and does deserve a little bit more recognition as such. By the way, I know we've talked a lot about the pitching rotation and sort of the future outlook for how you're going to fit all these high-level arms into one rotation and who are the guys that might get the short end of the stick from a roster construction standpoint. That Cristopher Sanchez contract is going to age quite well. That is going to be one of the best bargain contracts in baseball moving forward, assuming he keeps this up, which I would be betting on 10 times out of 10 based on the guy that we've seen on the field so far this season. Now, the final point that I did want to hammer home on this video here, I think this is a situation where Trea Turner specifically will feel the disrespect, and I think that could be something that works very well for this Phillies team. That for so long this season, one of the messages or clearest thoughts that I've had when watching this team, it feels like they need a jolt of energy. They need something to wake them up. They need a spark. And we've talked about, could this be Otto Kemp? Could this be a trade? Could this be calling up Justin Crawford, Andrew Painter? Is there a guy that needs an opportunity to sort of shift the tides and mentality of this team? Well, maybe it is just a little bit of them looking themselves in the mirror being like, okay, if I'm not appreciated in that light, it's time to earn my keep and prove why I should be. And for Trea specifically, if this turns into a light the world on fire, the power numbers start coming back. He takes his game to an even further level. That brings some pretty positive results for this Phillies team. I don't think Ranger Suarez or Cristopher Sanchez are quite built like that I think they're guys that just go about their business, they'll keep, depending on what is happening on the day, does not matter. They're in the same mentality day in and day out. That's something that I think makes them great as pitchers there. But for Trea specifically, I do want him to look at this as a sign of disrespect. That Francisco Lindor being clear-cut better than you, are you okay with that? Because you should not be. If you are Trea Turner and the quality of baseball player that you've made up to be and to perform to be to this point in his MLB career. So very disappointed that these guys did not get a lot of love from the MLB All-Star voting there, that they do deserve to be recognized on that level of field there and participate in that event overall there. I do hope Trea takes this personally. I do hope this is taken as a wake-up call, but I don't think this is the worst thing in the world for the Phillies from that specific perspective. But for Trea, go eat this up, go feel this one, have this pinned to your locker, whatever it is, the motivation factor. I hope we get another step forward in who Trea Turner is because of this disrespect. But ultimately, the MLB voters, we got it wrong on this one. But let me know what you guys think about all that in the comments. Who are you most mad about in the scale of disrespect? Is it Ranger? Is it Cristopher Sanchez? Or is it Trea Turner? I certainly think Trea is the guy that got the shortest end of the stick or should be the most offended based on the way that he has produced this year. But we'd love to hear from you guys in the comments. So make sure you drop those thoughts below. As always, appreciate each and every one of you guys for listening. Make sure you're smashing that subscribe button if you have not already. Drop a like on this video here. We'll be back talking to you next time right here on Phillies Digest. Peace.